Shalom, 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 tazayawam. Peace and blessings. Zion, giving double honors and glory to our father KD, the royal house of King David. Peace and blessings. Kal halal Yehovah Bahashem Mashiach Yehoshai. Giving all praises, honor and glory to Yehovah Bahashem Mashiach Yehoshai. Barakapa Yehovah, Barakapa 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 Yehovah, Bahashem Mashiach Yehoshai. Bahashura Kakadash. All praises, honor, and glory due. Kum Yasharala. Hosting Principal Ada. The topic, one's calling, no love, no righteousness. The Father told us that in these last days there'll be an increase of sin and lawlessness, which evidently we see on via social media, YouTube, mainly TikTok. You see this corruption going on, the corruption within government, police, doctors, teachers, solicitors, barristers, senators, politicians, society itself, everywhere, an increase of sin and lawlessness. Which brings one to the first precept. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24, reading verses 12 to 13. And it reads, "And because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold." Verse 13. "But the one who endures to the end will be saved." Khan. We see an increase everywhere of the scale of wickedness, as well as the time of scoffers that want to mock the truth and follow their own desires. Anyway, gonna show you a few videos, and hopefully we'll have time. If not, if anything, wanna have to do a part 2. Anyway, the videos, 4 videos, and this is just showing basically how sin has increased, basically.
That's right. What you see, oh wow. So they really are burning Bibles. That's right. What you see, your eyes does not deceive. There's a Bible on fire. And this is really starting to trend ever since Black Jesus was revealed. They were burning Bibles in Russia, I believe, first. Burning them in Europe, then burning them in America. Check this video out.
Bibles was set on fire this morning in front of a controversial church. Wilson County deputies were called out to the intersection of Old Lebanon Dirt Road and Chandler Road. Mount Juliet police and firefighters also came. After the fire was put out, deputies discovered the trailer had Bibles inside. They believe the trailer was dropped off in the middle of the intersection and intentionally set on fire. We've had people do things to our building. We've been vandalized a number of times. Yes, we have to have security, but never a Bible trailer, 200 Bibles being burned. That's a pretty rebellious statement, towards a church. But again,
pretty rebellious. It's wicked, it's wicked. Just gonna show you the next video.
Family members wouldn't do me the way they done me. Moms don't make the same mistake I made, thinking they ain't gonna do me like that, because they love me, right? They're my family, right? I promise you they'll do you like that. They say blood's thicker than water, right? Or mud's thicker than both of them. Fuck family. I don't care how that might sound to you, but if you lot's family have done you
before I show you any more videos, just want to state that the first video was basically about ever since they found out that Hamashiach is black. They've been burning Bibles in 5 states in America, over here in Europe, as well as Russia. Putin's exposed the truth, unveiled the truth from me. But it just shows how wicked these people are, showing their true nature in this time. But the Father told us that lawlessness and sin shall increase. Anyway, the second video is of a young man who's, obviously he hasn't got no family or around him, why he feels that he's neglected and he hasn't no love from his family. Again, a man that age, I believe is 18, 19, a young man that age shouldn't really, should have love around him, should have a family around him. But because of the way society is, mainly the father who sets it that way. But again, due to the fault of a woman rejecting truth, comes with curse, and one's just gonna delve into that right now. So first precept, if you want to follow on to Ecclesiasticus, coming out of the Apocrypha, and this is chapter 41, the book of Sirach, which is known as Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. Chapter 41, reading verse 5 to 7, and it reads, "The children of sinners are an abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly." Blessed is he who dwelleth not in the way of the ungodly. As it states there in Psalms 1, blessed is he who does not dwell in the counsel of the ungodly. But the young today are amongst the ungodly, being ungodly themselves, hence to an unrighteous generation. Reading on, verse 6, "The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach." So we see an increase of young males today dying young, don't even make it to 25, 30, younger than that. We see young males. We had one the other day, a Japhite stabbed a young black 14-year-old with a samurai sword. Again, if it was not doing politics, but again, from what we see in this wicked world, if it was someone of color, that would have been disabled straight away, if not more or less killed. But having this be a Japhite, they obviously want to run tests. Khan, reading on. Khan. So the children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. Verse 6, "The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach." Verse 7, and last, "The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake." So that young lad there is nothing but a reproach for his sake, meaning what would one mean by that? You know, most of the homes today, especially in the ghettos, you should all know what ghettos, what it means. A lot of broken homes, single parents, and you know, this Japhite has done a number on the black homes, the homes of black nations, you know, where they removed the black father from the household. We try and teach this to our Israelite women, but they're stiff-necked and stubborn and rebellious. We'll get into that in a bit. Anyway, back in the day, you had the Japhite man that would give the woman a benefit called what's it called? Farewell benefit. And farewell benefit. And this was given to the woman, you know, while the man was out there doing his unjust things. Later on, they gave it to the black woman, to the black family. They swapped it around and called it welfare benefit. And from there, man was removed from the house, where a woman would feel that she's man and woman in one, to reject and remove that man from the household. Again, looking on that child that resembles the father, and she's going through stress or what, you know, 9 times out of 10, the harshness of her ways can be took out on that child, you know, whether a boy or whether a girl, i.e. reproach for their sake. Which anyway, one would like to go to the next precept coming out of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, reading verses 11 to 19, and it reads, "For whoso despiseth wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain. Their labours unfruitful, and their works unprofitable." Even down to women as well, you know, miserable. Verse 12, here's the meat. "Their wives are foolish, and their children wicked." Verse 13, "Their offspring is cursed." Their offspring is cursed. I'm going to go from there to Ecclesiasticus, staying in the book, the Apocrypha. Staying in the Apocrypha, going to Ecclesiasticus, which is the book of Sirach, again, chapter 3, reading verse 9. And it reads, "For the blessing of the father establishes," for the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations. Rooteth out foundations. Going to drop down to verse 11, and it reads, "For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father, and a mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children." I'm going to read that again. For the glory of a man, this is verse 11, chapter 3. Verse 11, "For the glory of a man is from the honor of his father, and a mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children." So, going back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, reading verse 13, "That their offspring is cursed, wherefore blessed is the barren that is undefiled, which has not known the sinful bed. She shall have fruit in the visitation of souls." Verse 14, "And blessed is the eunuch which with his hands has wrought no iniquity. And blessed is the eunuch with his hands has wrought no iniquity, nor imagined wicked things against power. For unto him shall be given the special gift of faith, and an inheritance in the temple of the Lord, more acceptable to his mind. Verse 15, for glorious is the fruit of good labors, and the root of wisdom shall never fall away. Verse 16, as for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to their perfection, and the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out. Yes, shall be rooted out. You hear that there? And the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out. Let's go from there back to Ecclesiasticus, the book of Sirach, chapter 3. Reading verse 9 again. For the blessing, Ecclesiasticus, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 3, verse 9. For the blessing of the father establisheth the houses of children, but the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations. You hear that there? Going back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3. Reading verse 16 again, and it reads, as for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to their perfection, and the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out. Verse 17, for though they live long, yet shall they be nothing regarded, and their last age shall be without honor. Verse 18, or if they die quickly, they have no hope, neither comfort in the day of trial. Verse 19 and last, for horrible is the end of the unrighteous generation. And that's where we are today, an unrighteous generation. Hence the why the Father's telling us that in these last days we shall see sin and lawlessness increase, and we evidently are seeing that for real. Gonna show you the next video. Next video. This is a woman that wants to abandon her children.
Because she wants to be happy with her new man that dropped off to abandon all her kids to... This is a very sad video that went viral of a mom that dropped off to abandon all her kids to her mother's house because she wants to be happy with her new man, enjoying her life to the fullest. Watch. Tells her that it's her responsibility to raise.
That woman's there saying that she, I can't deal with these kids. I just want to be stress free and be with my man. You see, women, especially the women of today, reject. They like to cast away and reject. Before any of you that want to chat shit and try and stick up or defend those who have women that are wrong and rebellious, vice versa with the man, pursuant to 2 Timothy chapter 4 verse 2 to 4, to preach the word and teach, rebuke with long suffering, or your scoffers, and as well as what we go through and endure. We take it on and we suffer, but we still preach and give out the word of truth. And we read and what we're reading is Power's words through our prophets, as well as through our Master, our Savior, the Mashiach. And when we're reading what Power and what the Son, beloved Son, is telling us that we are reading, telling you, the moment you're scoffing and you're mocking us, you're mocking the Power and you're mocking Christ straight away. That's all you're doing, which shows in this time that there's many antichrists, many, you know, which one believes there's a scripture for that also. But I'm just going to push on with the lesson. And the next con, I want to go to the word loaf. Loaf. You know, one was talking about, you know, that video there of a woman rejecting her children. Because these are the things we see on TikTok. You know, I think last week there was a baby, nothing on but a nappy that obviously needed changing on the streets at early hours of the morning, you know, picked up by police. You know, where's the mother? You know, the baby about 2 years of age, kids being dropped off and abandoned. All these kind of things we're seeing, kids, babies being left in parks. You know, sin and lawlessness has really reached an all-time high. But anyway, going to that word, the word called loaf. L-O-T-H-E-D, loaf. Which means to vilely cast away, you know, reject. And the Strong's definition of H1602 for that is called loafed, which is H1602. Which is Hebrew pronunciation Ga'al. Ga'al. That's the Hebrew pronunciation H1602 Ga'al, which means loafed, which brings one to Ezekiel chapter 16. Ezekiel, let's go there quick time. Coming out of the King James Version, the KJV. Ezekiel 16, chapter 16, reading verses 44 and 45. Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 44 to 45, and it reads, "Indeed, everyone who quotes Proverbs will use this proverb against you, like mother, like daughter." 45, "You are your mother's daughter, loafing husband and children, and you are the sister of your sisters who loafed their husbands and children." You know, rejected. The husband rejected their children, which we obviously and evidently see happening to this very day. I'm going to go from there and show you the last video.
Oh, you gotta watch this.
So you mean to tell me I just pulled a 13-hour shift and I ain't got no food to come home to? Huh?
What do you mean you come down your way home? Why you always want to be a raggedy cousin?
Look, I just pulled a 13-hour shift. You being my wife, I pay all the
dishes clean, your clothes clean. Wait, what?
You don't fix me no lunch for my job. You eating? You work from home.
Okay,
I can't come home till 4 o'clock.
this is leftovers that I had from last night.
But I'm saying I can't come home till 4 o'clock. What we married for?
What we're married for, can't. You know, he's pulled off a 13-hour shift to come home to nothing to eat. To a disrespectful woman, that's his wife, and she's there eating pizza, she's there eating food, knowing that he's pulled off a 13-hour shift. This is the society and the mindset of women today. And one would like to go to the next precept, go to the word called obstinate, and break down that word before one dives in a precept for that word obstinate. Again, obstinate, let's get the precept, the definition for obstinate. Obstinate, stubbornly refusing to change one's opinion or change course of action. Stubborn, headstrong, withful, unyielding, unbending, self-willed, bull-headed, pig-headed, stubborn as a mule, uncompromising. One can go on, bloody-minded, single-minded, iron-willed, mulish. You know, when I go to the word obstinate, the Strong's H for obstinate, Strong's H 7186, cashier. Definition for cashier: cruel, grievous, hard-hearted, obstinate, sore, sorrowful, stiff-necked, stubborn. You know, cashier. And that brings one to the first precept coming out of Isaiah chapter 48. Follow on to Isaiah chapter 48, reading verses 4 to 6, and it reads, "For I know how stubborn and obstinate you are. Your necks are as unbending your necks are as unbending as iron. Your heads are as hard as bronze." Verse 5, "That is why I told you what I would." That is why I told you what would happen. I told you beforehand what I was going to do. Then you could never see my idols. Then you could never say my idols did it. My wooden image and metal God commanded it to happen. Verse 6, "You have heard my predictions and seen them fulfilled, but you refuse to admit it. Now I will tell you new things, secrets you have not yet heard." You know, so the Lord Father, he already had warned the Israelite woman, man. You know, she was already warned, but the rebellious and stiff-necked, you can't tell or talk to the Israelite woman of today. You can't talk to, you know. But going to the next precept coming out of the Apocrypha, the book of Sirach, going back to chapter 3. The book of Sirach, chapter 3. I'm going to read verses 26 to 28, and it reads, a stubborn heart, so like a stubborn heart shall fare evil at the last, and he that loveth danger shall perish therein. 27. An obstinate heart shall be laden with sorrows, and the wicked man shall keep shalaki, and the wicked man shall heap sin upon sin. Verse 28. In the punishment of the proud there is no remedy, for the plant of wickedness has taken root in him. And just want to go to the next. Wickedness would just sprout up throughout them. Next precept, staying in the Ecclesiasticus, going to chapter 25. The book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 25. Reading verse 19. And it reads, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. A wicked woman doesn't see the wicked things that she's doing. To her it's normal. To her, she's in the right doing so. Which you're not. Going to the next precept, coming out of Sirach, again staying in chapter 25, and we're going to jump down from 19 to verse 23. Sirach, Ecclesiasticus. Ecclesiasticus 25. I'm going to jump down from 19 to verse 23. And it reads, a wicked woman abateth the courage, maketh an heavy countenance and a wounded heart. Hear that? A wicked woman abateth courage, maketh an heavy countenance and a wounded heart. A woman that will not comfort her husband in distress maketh weak hands and feeble knees. Verse 24, here's the meat. Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. And want to go from there to Genesis. Genesis chapter 3. Follow me to Genesis chapter 3. One's going to read Genesis chapter 3, verses 15 to 16. And this is in the time of Eve, because the Father's saying, he said it there plainly, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Yeah. So who was that first woman? Wasn't it not Eve? So let's go there. Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, reading from verse 15. And it reads, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his head. This is Genesis chapter 3, coming out of the KJV version. Reading on verse 16. To the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. Hear that? He shall rule over you. But you see, in the households of today, the government don't like families Hence the why they got their social services, and they just destroy family homes basically, which we see an increase today of. You know, but due to Eve being deceived by the serpent, Satan, the father put a curse on her, but through woman in general, and that curse stays with us to this very day. It stays with the women today that give birth to child. You know, they go through the utmost pain, but one's explain why and where that pain, you know, why it was put upon the woman, because of she can't hearken and listen and do as she's told. You know, women of today want to rule over man, and it's not the case. You heard it there, where the Lord said in verse 16, your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. So whether you like it or not, you know, you rebellious women of today, we're getting to a time and we're coming to an era where you're going to learn the hard way. You know, you're going to learn the truthful, righteous way, which brings one to back to Sirach. Then precepts there for that. Back to Sirach 25, reading from 24, and it reads, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Verse 25, give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gather broad. Verse 26 and last, if she go not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh, and give her a bill of divorce, and let her go. Calm. You know, a woman should know her place. There's no order in a single parent's house. You know, for one, there isn't a man of God there. For two, it's a woman that thinks she's man and woman in one, and she don't hear or doesn't know the Father or the Son. So, you know, they have rejected the Lord Father, so Father shall reject them, you know. In fact, let's get the passage for that coming out of Psalms 95, verse 10. You know, you reject the Lord, he'll reject you. And that's what we see with the rebellious women of today, especially in the Israelite nation, man. Wicked and rebellious. But one's going to make you know what your judgment shall be. This is Psalms 95, reading verse 10, and it reads, for 40 years I was grieved with that generation, Jerusalem, Israel, Zion, and said, it is a people who go astray in their hearts, and they do not know my ways. They do not know my ways. You know, it goes on to say, the Father says, so I swore in my wrath, angry, they shall not enter my rest. And this is why we're here. We've been suffering, but now we're woken up. We're trying our best. You know, I mean, we're here as a brotherhood, doing the instructions and fulfilling the instructions our Father and Master gives us, and we're doing what is being told for us to do, to edify and preach the word, you know, and that's what we're here doing. No matter who wants to scoff, whoever, you know, don't give a fuck who likes me or whatever, you know, one's here to serve the Lord Father and thy master. So fuck you. Moving on. You know, a woman's to know her place. So you know, let's go to 1 Timothy, because if they're forever running their mouth loud, want to argue in front of the child, you know, like one said earlier, a woman, especially in today's era, a woman is quick to reject and throw away family for happiness, which you've evidently seen on the video. The woman wants to abandon her children to be happy with her new man, you know. Unbelievable. Well, when it comes to the household or arguing amongst children, there's no order. It's an unrighteous place for starters, you know. So moving on to 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 2, coming out of the King James Version. Reading verse 12. 1 Timothy chapter 2 verse 12, and it reads, "And I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over man, but to be in silence." To be in silence. You know, a precept for that, for a woman, you know, is to be in silence. Well, let's go to the precept for that, coming out of the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, and we're going to go down to verse 14, and it reads, "A silent woman," so like a silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord. You hear that there? Ecclesiasticus chapter 26 verse 14. "A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed." You know, which is hard to come by nowadays. Moving on to 1 Corinthians. For 1 Corinthians, a woman's to know the pecking order, just to show and confirm that a man is over the woman. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 3, and it reads, but there is one thing I want you to know. The head of every man is Hamashiach, the head of woman is man, and the head of Hamashiach is power. We'll read that again, 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 3. But there is one thing I want you to know. The head of every man is Hamashiach, the head of woman is man, and the head of Hamashiach is power. So you see all you women that rebel to that. You rebel to the power, and you rebel to our master, the Hamashiach. You're wicked, and your judgment draws near. Going on to, again, we're here to teach that you're to train your young to love, you know, because it's love that we're dealing with. Let's go to Titus chapter 2, reading verse 4, and it reads, "And so train your young women to love their husband and children," which we don't really see today. Children are being rejected and cast away by single mothers because they're in their emotional feelings. Unbelievable. Going to Sirach, staying in the Ecclesiasticus, the Apocrypha we're kind of in today. How much time has one got? I think one's gone over. Gonna leave it here and do a part 2. Hope you got your notepads and your pens ready. Hope you were edified so far. Love you, Taza Yawan. Shalom, Israel.